Hi there, it's Nicole for Fawn, and today I am getting to share the amazing new double slider surprise dies, and I used these to create this pumpkin spice latte type card that obviously extends out and shows even more of these cute mugs when you use that double slider surprise. So we're going to start by putting it together. And we've got all of our components, including the pocket panels. I've die cut 2 of those there, and I'm just going to move them over to the side. These are the 2 panels. I'm going to move those over, and then we've got our track. And I purposely die cut the track from white. We're going to put 1/8 inch score tape at the very top of the track pieces there on both sides. This is really important that you use 1/8 inch tape because anything wider is really going to make that track, the slider part, get stuck in the track, I guess I want to say. There are score lines on the pocket pieces. I'm going to use my bone folder to score these. I did die cut anything that's going to be shown on the outside of the card from one of the new Woodgrain Neutrals cardstocks from Fawn. This is the kind of paper bag colored cardstock. It has a fantastic wood grain texture. And then I'm putting a piece of 1/8 inch score tape on the tab for each side of this as well. Lots and lots of score tape. Now I used just a regular grocery sack cut to about 2 1/4 inches wide. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I did not like this. If you watch Kelly's video over on the Fawn channel, I know she used like some dog little baggies that you use to pick up stuff, and they worked really well. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am not going to use this kind of bag again. It was really hard to work with. At least I found it hard. I think what I'm going to use the next time, I will have another card when we start sharing more Christmassy themed cards, and I will be using like a Ziploc type of bag because I think it's going to just be a little sturdier and a little easier to work with. I found this material to be absolutely awful. However, you can see I did adhere it around here. You don't want to make it too terribly tight. I used the 1/8 inch score tape again. And I did not cut this extremely straight. I used a trimmer, but again, very, very hard to work with. So just my personal opinion, if that's all you have, you can definitely make it work. Now I am putting 1/8 inch score tape right there on the seam, flipping it over kind of on the diagonal and putting it on the back. That's so we can put the pull-out pieces in place. The first one that's going to pull out to the right, I am lining up with those 2 little notches out to the right side and then pressing this panel in place. Just as straight as I can get it, and I'm going to flip it over to the back. And we want to make sure the wood grain part is going to be on the front. So we're going to flip it over. And again, this time, instead of lining it up with the right, we're going to line this up with the notches on the left and press this down in place. Now, my adhesive wasn't in the right place and it kind of messed up my bag. It ends up working. All of this is hidden. So this is the first time I ever put one of these together. So you guys are kind of learning with me. Kind of a little tricky, I think, until you get the hang of it, and then it's really easy. Okay, so here is our slider piece. So cute. Now let's grab the pocket panels, and what I like to do before I put the inside piece in, there is a notch which you line up with the outside edge of your pocket panel. I like to tape it in place, and I'm going to run this through. The reason this is an extra piece and it doesn't come already notched is because you might not want a notch on each end. Maybe you're making your double slider where you just pull the bottom and you don't have to pull both sides. It's more of a portrait style, and so you can just pull either the top or the bottom, whatever it might be. You don't need notches in both places. So it really makes it great to customize your double slider however you want to do. I am going to go ahead and notch all sides of this because I am doing a landscape style card, and I want to pull both sides so it's really easy to grab hold, pull out, and extend the mugs that go across my card. Once I get all my little notches here, I'm going to take my 2 pockets and line them up, remove the score tape from just one of the pockets for now, and make them into one big panel, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. And then we can put our slider track inside. Just trying to decide which one I want here. I don't think it really matters. So here they are lined up. I'm trying to get them as straight as possible. You can see this makes one little pocket. And then I'm going to fold that up at the bottom because when you take your slider, you want to line up the bottom of the track with kind of that bottom little edge from the lip. It makes it really easy. So I'm removing my score tape there from the back of my panel and laying it right into the pocket. Pressing down, removing the score tape from the front, and I'm going to press down this front little lip here, remove the score tape from this, and press my pocket into place. It's going to secure the slider panel right inside of that pocket, and then you can simply pull it out. Look how cute that is. Okay, so that is really fun. Now comes the part where you get to decorate. So now that the assembly of that interactive element's done, I am taking mugs from the new Thanks a Latte stamp set, and I thought it would be fun. This stamp set's great for Christmas or fall themed hot cocoa, coffee, whatever it might be kind of cards. But last year, Lawn Fawn released the pumpkin spice, which is the mug that already has the little dollop of cream or whatever on it. I thought it'd be fun to implement that or include it into this design, so I'm going to use that as well, and some of the greetings, because I think that the font used in both Thanks a Latte and pumpkin spice are really similar, and they work really nice together. I am coloring my images in with Copic markers. I did stamp everything with Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. The colors of Copic markers I'm using to color everything in are shown across the top of the screen for easy reference. So if at any time you're wondering exactly what colors I'm using, you could always check there to know exactly what I'm using for coloring in which mug. I purposely picked a bunch of color combinations I don't use very often. I wanted the colors to still be vibrant, but I wanted them to have more of an autumn feel, a little deeper, a little richer. This blue color combination is B34, 37, and 39, which I love. I really, really like this. In fact, I need to make a color swatch of this. A lot of these color combinations are things I don't use very often. This yellow one is this kind of yellowish orange, but I think, yes, everything else I used today was something brand new for me. I kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone, not only for this double slider, because it was a little tricky to figure out until I got into it, and then it really made sense. It's one of those. And I pushed myself to use colors I don't normally use. I tend to gravitate towards the same ones over and over, and every once in a while I like to push myself because often I find new favorite color combinations, as I did today when I push myself out of my comfort zone. I did a couple of different color combinations for coffee. One was E47 and E49. The other one was E55 and E47. And I just kind of alternated between the two. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. My red coffee mug, you're probably thinking, wow, that red does not go with the rich colors of the other mugs. However, it's the lightest tone. When you add in our 59 and 37, it really deepens it up, and it ended up being a color combination that, while I normally haven't used this in the past, I think this will be one I use a lot. I think it would be really pretty for holiday cards as well. This particular mug I'm coloring right now is the one from Pumpkin Spice, which was released last year. For the little dollops of cream on the top, I am going to use E40, 43, and then to make it look like little sprinkles of spices or whatever, I'm going to use YR27, E43, and maybe even a little E47 here and there to add a fun little touch of color. And we're going to color the other two exactly the same. So just kind of tracing that design. E40 is a nice kind of, I think it's maybe even called brick white color. So it's got a tint to it, but it's not a lot. I really like that. I use it a lot. And that adds a nice little fun touch to these. We'll finish coloring both of these. Now, in my finished card, there are 2 additional mugs. There is also probably another leaf, I'm going to say, a heart, the little shaker from Pumpkin Spice I ended up using, and another scarf. As I got the original images colored and die cut, I realized I didn't have quite as many as I wanted to fill in both sides of the double slider. It really actually will take quite a few more images than I thought it would, which I love, because when you're creating an extended scene like this, or this isn't, I guess, a scene, but an extended, card image, but think about those extended scenes, you could really get a lot on there, which I think is really fun. The remaining images I colored, I am not going to share on screen. Any color combinations I used for those remaining images, you're going to already see here. I just replicated that. I did not pull in any new colors. I just used kind of what I already had out. This was a tricky color combination, BG 70, 72, and 75. 70 has a lot of colorless blender in it, meaning it's going to bleed. And it did bleed just a little bit. Not enough for me to redo this, but it did bleed. So be aware of that if you're trying to replicate this. It's a great highlight area for that little highlight on the mug I was trying to create, but you kind of have to work at it a little bit. And then, of course, I think these little scarves that can go around the mugs are so fun. Very, very cute. I think it would really be fun as well to maybe customize the mugs with small little images. You could maybe even stamp the leaves on the mugs to make it look like it has a pattern. Also in the Thanks a Latte, let's say you're creating, a Christmas one, there's a snowflake image. There's also some marshmallow images, so if you want to put marshmallows in there, you can. Now, the mugs do not come with the little line that makes it look like the back of the mug. I did want to mention that. I think I forgot. You can stamp that, which I stamped that in all of mine today. And the reason being is you can also stamp an image that makes it look like there's marshmallows in the mug. So think about doing some hot chocolate ones. There's a candy cane. You could customize the mugs with faces. I did not today, but it comes with 5 faces, pardon me. There's even a little teeny tiny one for maybe the marshmallows or something. And then the little cheeks image, so you could pinken the cheeks if you decide to put faces on your little mugs. Really, really fun. Now, I die cut all of these with the coordinating Thanks a Latte and Pumpkin Spice dies. And then I'm using my powder tool to kind of apply some of that to my images. And then there is the foam on the top of the mugs that you can add. And I really love this. I stamped this with the new Lawn Fawn Clear Embossing ink. And I sprinkled on the new Lawn Fawn Textured White Embossing Powder. This is different than their regular white embossing powder because it's not as smooth. So I would say probably not for text. I would not use it for the greetings. Like the greetings I'm using here, I'm using the Lawn Fawn white embossing powder. But for the foam, it really adds fun texture if you use that textured white embossing powder. So it's a great option. Think about snow, or maybe you want to do like a frosted glass technique where you can put the embossing powder on vellum and make it look like glass. This would be amazing as snow. So really, really great embossing powder that will do some really fun things, including the foam on the top of these mugs. I stamped some greetings on the mugs. You can see like Happy Fall is from Thanks a Latte, and then the In My Latte phrase is from Pumpkin Spice, and it's going to be the rest of the sentiment. So you'll kind of read it across the card as Happy Fall, you're the pumpkin spice in my latte. The rest of the sentiment, pardon me, I'm so sorry, is you're the pumpkin spice. I die cut this banner. It is part of the Double Slider Surprise die collection. I die cut that from some chocolate bar cardstock. This is a Lawn Fawn cardstock. Sprinkled or stamped that with the clear embossing ink, sprinkled on the white embossing powder, and then we're going to add that to the card. So I kind of have all my elements now, and it's time to put it all together. We're going to start with the center panel. That's where the trio of mugs is going to go, and then each side panel is going to feature just one mug, or pardon me, 2 mugs. And then I've got some leaves that help reinforce that fall or autumn type of feel that I'm going to tuck around. And the banner is going to just be a really nice little focal point, I guess, help draw your eye into the center of the card to the sentiment that we have here. And then adorning all of the fun little elements. So the shaker, the heart on the mug, leaves around the mugs, the foam or the cream, the little dollop of cream on top. All of these little things, scarves around the mugs. Once I have everything in place, I did decide in the Thanks a Latte stamp set, there's some little steam that looks like it's coming up from the mugs, and I didn't want it to detract away from the rest of the design. So for that, I'm going to take some of the new Lawn Fawn vellum, and we're going to stamp that with the clear embossing ink on vellum, sprinkle on some white embossing powder. I did use the regular white because it's got such fine detail to it. And then I'm going to die cut all of those little steam pieces. I stamped 4, I only ended up using 3. This vellum is a really nice weight as well. So many great new paper options from Lawn Fawn, including all that wood grain, glitter cardstock, vellum, and then some really fun pattern paper collections, which I'm going to give you a little sneak of one of those here as my background on this card. The Nitpicky Fall collection. Very, very fun. Okay, so we're going to just tape that little die in place and then run this through the machine 3 times to get those 3 little pieces of steam. The best way I can think of to attach these to my card is to put adhesive clear on the back, on the entire back of these, with the Xyron sticker maker. That way you're not going to see any little globs of glue or anything like that. And then we're going to simply pop these in place on 3 of the mugs. For the background of my card, I've got a side fold card base here. I die cut some of the Nitpicky Fall pattern paper in that awesome kind of aqua-ish turquoise, whatever you want to call it, pattern. And I used a stitched rectangle die, the A2 stitched rectangle die, to die cut that. We're going to pop it in place right on our background. And then we can adhere our double slider surprise as well. And I'm going to center this right here on my card. Now I think that we need to use some of the tabs from the die collection. It's going to make it so much easier, give us something great to hold on to pull out the double slider. There's lots of different options, hole reinforcers. I love that Lawn Fawn always thinks of all the options. There's so many things you could do. I picked this kind of rounded tab. I'm going to take the sentiment pull here from the Push Here stamp set and stamp that with the clear embossing ink on both of my tabs, because we're going to do a tab on both sides. Sprinkle on our white embossing powder, heat set that, and then we want to make sure we use a nice strong adhesive to attach this in the center of both sides of our double slider surprise. For me, this just makes it a lot easier. It gives you something to grab onto to pull out each side of our double slider surprise. Otherwise, I think it's kind of tricky. And depending on who you're sending this to, you definitely want them to be able to pull this out super easy. I used a nice strong adhesive for this, and I made sure that it doesn't really, mine don't line up right with the edge. They hang off the edge a little bit, which makes them a lot easier to grab onto and pull this out. Do this on both sides, and then I'm going to show you how cute this little double slider is. I love that when you first look at the card, you think, oh, isn't that so cute? There's this 3 little mugs or whatever, and then you pull out each side, and there's not just 3, there's actually 7. So very, very fun. And my double slider kind of got hung up there. I had to do a little repair work, but it works great now. Very, very fun. Last thing I'm going to do today is take my white opaque pen and add finishing details, highlights, add some decoration to the scarves that go around a couple of the mugs. The yellow scarf, I decided to do just a simple little plaid back and forth. Adding all these little white highlight areas, just really finish it off nice. I love how this looks. We're going to do this on everything. On the coffee area, on the coffee cups, the handles. I really like it on the handles for whatever reason. Gives it a nice little highlight. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this double slider surprise pumpkin spice card featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.